Hello, everybody. I'm Douglas.
I'm Crystal.
And this is the recap for level Balboa.
Right, the elective class.
The elective class, Balboa, week 1, Balboa Fundamentals. And so today we covered basics, come-arounds, and a little cool footwork variation you can throw in.
Right, so we'll start with our uphold basic. The uphold basic has a pattern that goes sort of like a quick hold step. So it's going to look...
So we'll do it together and then split apart. It looks like step, step, hold, step, step, hold, step. Step,
1, 2,
step,
3,
hold,
4,
step,
5, 6, 7, 8. Step.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And from the front, that looks like step, step, hold, step, 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 hold, step, 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 hold, step, 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 hold, step.
Follows, you start with your right, left you start with your
leaders,
you start
with your left. From the back, step, step, hold, step, 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 hold, step. When we're doing it by ourselves, we have this little bit of a box pattern. It's nice because it helps you maintain that rhythm, but it's not really a box step dance. You don't have to do this box. What I do generally do, and most people do, is go back a little bit on that first step. So as I step back on my left,
I forward.
I am stepping back because that gives a nice direction to the follow so she knows where to go. But we absolutely don't have to do that. We can do the whole dance in place.
Follows, when I'm practicing, I often practice my steps in place so that I can be ready to step however far he needs me to step. So if Doug takes a big step back, then I can take that big step back with him. But if he takes a small step back, then I can just take that small step with him. So when I practice it in place, it's to just get the rhythm in my body.
So just to reinforce one more time, that's for the leaders stepping back on your left, then matching that with your right, and then pulling your left foot up so all of your weight goes onto your right foot, and then stepping down on your left. Down, no, wait. Step, step, hold, step, yeah, step, step, hold, step. And then repeating that in the other way, so right, left, and then all your weight onto your left. From the back, step, step, hold, step, 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 hold, step.
Follows, we're going to go forward with our right to begin. So we're going to go forward, bring your other foot, your left foot to match, hold with your right, and then step back, back with your left, step with your right, hold with your left, and then step with that left foot. So all together it's going to look like this: forward, forward, gather, step, back, back, gather, step.
Cool. So after that, we covered anytime we do that gather, you could do a tap, and that allows you to do a lot of variation in the dance. So we can be just doing the gathering, and then I can throw in a tap. And that's independent. Crystal can either do a tap or not do a tap, but it's nice to like hit something in the music or just do something a little different.
One thing to remember when we're adding that tap is only the tap should have a sound, and even that sound should be very mute. The rest of your steps should be quiet, just as if you were doing a plain basic.
So the second thing we did is the other basic. There are two basics in Balboa. This is the down hold basic, and it looks like, let's do it together first. Step, 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 hold, step, 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 hold, step, step, down, step, down. From the back for leaders. Step, 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 hold, step, 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 hold. And then for followers, step, step, hold, step, 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 hold, step, 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 hold, step, 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 hold. So the footwork by ourselves for leaders. So this is going to be left, right, exactly the same as the other basic, But instead of gathering, pulling this weight all onto your right, you put all your weight onto your left. So it looks like step, step, step. And holding is just bringing your weight all the way over this left. And then the same thing on the other side, mirrored. So it's step, step, onto the left, step, step, onto the right. That's for leaders.
For follows, we're going to do the mirror opposite. So we're going to start with our right foot, and we're going to step forward, and it's going to go forward, together, back, forward, together, back. And we're going to also gather on that fourth beat. So it's going to go forward, forward, back, gather, back, back, forward, gather, I guess.
Yeah. Yep. The big difference between this in the feeling is I sort of drive through that middle portion. So Crystal knows that we're not sort of just staying and putting all our weight onto that foot that's down. We're moving through that step.
One thing that's important to both of our basics is that we both have this forward intentionality in our connection. So when Doug goes forward, then I can feel that he's actually moving me because I'm connected at this point between us.
Right. We talked about sort of having this feeling of walking through your partner. You still have this energy as if I'm going forward. And Crystal has that same energy back to me. So we constantly have this feeling of if the other person sort of moved away, right, Crystal would still be right with me. And the same thing if I'm pushing forward, Crystal is right there. And that's really, really important when you're trying to distinguish between that down hold and that up hold.
Also, we did an exercise for that forward intentionality like we just did with no hands. So we did our basic with no hands. And I can feel Doug moving. And so I am matching what I feel in his body. It's not being led by his hands at all.
Yeah, so when you're practicing, definitely practice with that no hands. Sometimes it can make like turning things a little awkward because the arms sort of tell you where the other person is, but it's a good way to check that you aren't using your arms to lead the dance or keep your balance.
Right.
So after that, we did
a mixed down hold, up hold.
And that was just the first half down hold, second half up hold. Down, up. Down, up. Down, up. Down, up. Down, up. You can obviously, or you can do the other version. You can do up then down. You can mix them up as much as you want. But we use that specifically to do
come arounds.
Come arounds. That's right.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
So that's just that footwork that we just did with a turn. We got asked if it's always a 180. It's not. It doesn't have to be a 180, but a 180 is a really good baseline. You shouldn't feel like you have to add a lot of acceleration to the dance to do a 180. But if you want to, you can do a 90 or even a 360.
The important part here on this come around is that the pivot happens on the third beat. So we're doing regular steps for beats 1 and 2. And on the third step, we're going to pivot. And then we're going to finish up with our regular uphold basic.
Yep. So leaders, I definitely take a step back to let Crystal sort of into my space so that we're rotating over the same place. If I take a step forward, it's really easy for me to end up running around her. And at the same time, when I say a backward step, I'm not taking a big backward step, because that's going to be really hard to balance when you start turning. After that, we gave you one more thing, and that was just a continuous come around, which somebody rightly said is basically down holds in a circle with a little bit of intensity to them. So it's not really different than a rotating basic.
It's not that much different, except follows. You'll need to cross your right foot in front of your left foot every time you take a step with that right foot, because you're continuing to go in a circle. So you're doing this motion in front of your lead.
Yep, so play around with it, and remember to ask people to dance.
Right. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thanks.